Are you waiting on a new iMac? Here's when Apple's going to release the next iMac and what changes are in store. Welcome everybody to Apple Insider. It is Andrew here, and it has been quite a while since Apple released a new iMac. Apple last updated the iMac in 2021 with an all-new design, an M1 processor, and several striking colors. Since then, though, Apple has continued to rapidly refresh the Mac lineup, but ignoring the iMac. We've had multiple versions of the MacBook Air. We have new MacBook Pros. We have Mac Studios. We even have a Mac Pro. And yet, the iMac is still sitting on the M1 processor. At the moment, it's still the only Mac that entirely relies on the M1. And no, the MacBook Air does not count. There's multiple versions. There's a 13 and a 15-inch with the M2 processors inside. Apple just still keeps the M1 model around for those who really want the cheapest, but still Apple Silicon. So it doesn't count. We're talking entirely relies on the M1. There is no M2 version of the iMac. And if you want to know a secret, there's probably not going to be. See, in all likelihood, Apple is going to kill off the iMac line. I'm just kidding. Some of you might have panicked a little bit. No, iMac line is sticking around. But what's likely going to happen is Apple's going to skip the M2 generation of Apple Silicon and instead move the iMac directly to the M3. Multiple sources have said that Apple is deep into the process of creating an M3 iMac. Mark Gurman has said as recently as March that Apple is already in the EVT phase of the new M3 iMac. EVT stands for Engineering Verification Testing, and that usually means that it takes about 3 months before the machine can get into production at the earliest. So, if we're talking about this starting EVT inside of March, we could see the new M3 iMac by the end of 2023. Gurman has additionally said that Apple's expected to do an October event this year, which means Macs could be center stage. That said, we are still a ways away from even Apple's September event, let alone a possible October event. So Apple still could just release these things with just an online video. It could release them through a press release, anything like that. It goes further because there doesn't seem to be many other changes in store for the new 24-inch iMac. See, Apple just came out with this design, right? This is like a brand new design for the iMac. It looks still fantastic, super thin. We got Thunderbolt USB 4 on the back. We have a really nice display. I mean, these are great machines. So if anything, Apple would maybe change colors on it, but the design is gonna stay the same. This is a first generation design here, and Apple will likely make minor tweaks to refine it, but the design is largely gonna stay the same. So we're gonna see the same 24-inch iMac, but updated with those M3 processors. Apple doesn't need a whole event to show that off, other than the fact they're moving to a new generation of chipset. But the 24-inch iMac isn't all we have to talk about. There are hard rumors that Apple is working on an even larger iMac, or possibly the resurgence of an iMac Pro. Hey, I gotta interject for just a moment to thank our sponsor for this video, MacPaw and CleanMyMac X. It's time to keep an eye on your Mac's health. Junk files, malicious apps, and hung processes can slow down even the latest and most powerful Macs. Maintaining your Apple machine's health, whether old or new, is essential to smooth macOS performance. CleanMyMac X is an all-in-one Mac maintenance tool that takes care of old junk, faulty apps, and malware in an efficient, aesthetically pleasing, and hassle-free way. Using the app's menu, you can monitor your Mac's health, CPU load, and more. With nearly 30 million downloads and 15 years of expertise, this app is a must-try for any Mac user. Run CleanMyMac X to gear up your Mac for the groundbreaking additions Apple has announced at this year's WWDC. As Apple continues to pack Macs with innovative new features, CleanMyMac X is here to ensure that your hardware is running at peak performance so that you can enjoy a seamless macOS experience. Exclusive to Apple Insider watchers, you can grab a 5% discount for CleanMyMac X down below in the description. Now, let's get back to that other coverage. Rumors dating back to 2021 said Apple was working on a new 27-inch iMac. Some even said that Apple would hit store shelves with the new 27-inch iMac by the end of 2022. But here we are, more than halfway through 2023, and those rumors failed to materialize. At the moment, The most likely rumors say that Apple is targeting a late 2024 or 2025 release for a new, larger iMac. The new, larger iMac will probably have a 30-inch display, though some have questioned whether it could be a 32, so either 30 or 32-inch display. There are a few wild rumors out there that say Apple is testing larger displays, even bigger, maybe up to like a 42-inch, and while that's certainly possible, Apple tests a lot of things. If this machine isn't expected to be released until the end of 2024 or 2025, we're talking more than a year away from this thing being released, so Apple's probably testing a bunch of stuff. It could be testing a 3-inch iMac, but it doesn't mean it's going to get released. They're just testing it. They may be testing a 42-inch, but I would not expect to see that at your local Apple store. These new models would feature slimmer bezels to make room for that larger display. Things like ProMotion and Mini LED are considered high probability items for the new iMac, and Apple will likely include an M3 Pro or an M3 Max inside of this. But what about the iMac Pro? This is still a big question mark, and honestly, it's kind of up to Apple's branding department at the moment. I mean, iMac Pro typically was just like a higher-end version of the iMac, two dedicated product lines for consumers with a smaller size, like a 21 and the 27-inch, and then we had the iMac Pro sitting with like the higher-end specs. Apple could just take this new 30 or 32-inch iMac and dub it an iMac Pro resurgence, just with a larger screen, higher-end processors, and maybe a Pro color scheme to match in space gray that everyone loved with the old iMac Pro. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Maybe Apple could stick with, an iMac Max because it's got a larger display, or it'll just all be iMacs or iMac and just have higher-end processors on the inside. There's not really that much difference to it, and there's not much Apple could do beyond going to an M3 Pro or M3 Max processor on the inside as it is. So iMac Pro is really just that branding name for a high-end iMac, and I think the new 30 or 32-inch model is going to deliver that performance. So what do you guys think? Are you excited to see some new iMacs? Let me know down below in the comments or on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. If you'd like to pick up the existing M1 24-inch iMac, it's still a good buy, and we're seeing great deals on it, so it's still worth picking up. But if you're kind of on the fence, maybe wait out, because we're going to get some new ones likely in October.